welcome students, whether they were coming to us that day or coming to us via phone or email or any other means to communicate with us that request information about our school. Because we are, being the admissions office, we help students along their journey of deciding whether SBU is going to be the choice for them to attend as a school.
So give us your spiel. Well, tell us a little bit about SBU.
So what I would do and say as a frontline representative is I would first welcome them and introduce myself and my name and then ask for their name so I can gather a little bit of information about them to learn a little bit more about them to help guide some questions about key areas that would be of interest for them when they're walking around the campus to learn more about the university, see what programs we have to offer, see if there's any that spark interest for them. There were also some times where they were interested in sports, so I would give them all the sports information and let them know about that, let them know about our residence halls as well, where are the really awesome places to live and where are the other places to live as well, whether on campus or off campus, and provide that information for them.
Ms. Best, do me a favor, can you slow down just a little bit? We've got a court reporter that's taking that.
Yeah.
What are the awesome places to live and then the other places?
There are all the residence halls for freshmen through seniors. We just opened that up a year after I graduated for all students who live on any residence hall. But it used to be just freshmen and sophomores who were living in the residence halls. And then we also have some on-campus apartments for students to be able to live in, so they have another place to be able to live. And then there's off-campus options as well that were usually just passed down from student to student.
Can you tell us a little bit about SBU, how big it is, where it's located?
Yeah, so SBU is a private university located just north of Seattle in what we would call the Queen Anne area. And it is about 3,500 students undergrad and about 1,000 students graduate. And it is a university that is open and inclusive to anyone who wants to step in. You don't have to be a particular religion, race, or whatever. It's open to everyone to be a part of this university. And we welcome those to come in. And it's also one that prides itself in its medical field. So we have a really good pre-med program. And so that's what we would usually push and what a lot of students would want to come there for is our pre-med program for students to be a part of.
You had this position as frontline greeter in May of 2014.
Mm-hmm.
And sometime it was brought to your attention that a man named Ybarra had come and talked to you. Is that correct?
Yes.
Tell us about how that was brought to your attention.
Yeah, so that was brought to my attention on the day of graduation that year when we were doing a ceremony called ivy cutting. I was approached by one of our school officials and was asked to come and view some video footage to let them know if I recognized the student who was walking in and to the Demaray Hall, which was the building where the admissions office was located, and to see if that person in the video footage was me. And it was pretty obvious that it was me in that video footage because I was the only male on the frontline staff.
And what was the day of the ivy cutting? Do you remember?
June 12th.
I guess let me ask, by that time, had there already been a shooting on campus?
Yes.
And were you aware of that shooting?
Yes.
Did you see any TV footage right after the shooting?
No.
So you didn't recognize any person in particular before they showed you?
No, I did not.
Once you saw that video footage, did you remember this person coming in?
I did. I remembered him very well.
And tell us what you remembered.
What I remember is he came in just like a normal student would come in. He came in just by himself, and he just asked normal questions that any person would want to ask about where our place is at, what are normal class times, where are the areas to go. And so I just gave him basic information. He asked for some generic scholarship and other information about the school, just questions that were asked me almost 100 times a day when I would get emails or phone calls from parents and just others requesting information about the university.
Any weird questions?
No, none at all.
Do you document in any way when somebody comes in and drops in like this and asks questions?
Yes, when a student just decides to drop in and they're not on our schedule, and being on our schedule means that they have requested an appointment, they have requested a tour, they've requested an appointment with either our athletic staff or with a faculty member, then we just grab a blank form for them and we write the word drop-in at the top to let them know that our admissions staff know that this person just dropped in, they were curious about information, and it's for the admissions counselor to then take it up and then inquire further if there's any further information that they are going to be requesting.
So it's kind of standard practice when
Yes.
somebody comes in. May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yes.
Mr. Beth, I'm going to hand you what's been marked for identification as State's Exhibit Number 1.
Okay.
Can you take a look at that document and see if that's something you recognize?
I do recognize it.
Tell us what it is.
So this is a form that I would grab if a student had not checked in for anything and decided to just drop in and request information, and I would just ask them to fill out the top part and whatever information they're willing to provide on the bottom for our use, and then I would also write at the bottom just some notes so I remember when I write down this information in our data collecting system later, just so that we can, if they inquire, we can know, okay, this is what the person requested about when they first came here, so if they have further questions, I can refer back to where his questions were at that time. So I wrote down that he wanted information about scholarships, a self-tour. He didn't want to be a part of our tour because he came at an off-tour time. He wanted to know our class size, and he wanted to know if we were on the quarter or semester system.
So am I understanding this is the general form that you talked about?
Yes.
And State's Exhibit Number 1 in front of you is the actual form that was filled out by the defendant or the person that you saw in the video when it was brought to your attention by security?
Yes.
So you've seen this particular form before?
Mm-hmm.
And that fairly and accurately represents the form you used with the defendant when he came to campus then?
Yes, it does.
And you're on the state moves to admit Number 1?
No objection.
It's admitted.
So you indicated that the student himself fills out the top part, is that right?
Yes.
So just generally, what kind of information is that?
So that's just general contact information so that we can keep in contact with them and be able to, if they have further questions, that we can have information for them. If they request something and we're able to get back to them, we can then send some further information for them. If they request to have email copies of something, we can then provide email copies or have a cell phone number so that when they try to contact us again, or if our admissions counselor wants to reach out to them, they have access to it.
Mr. Beck, you're talking so fast that it is impossible to transcribe what you're saying, so
Yeah.
you just need to take a breath between each
There's some
sentence.
There's some water next to you, Mr. Beth, as well, if you want. I think there's
Yeah.
cups.
So he would write down some information for us, and we would just request some address information and some phone information and email information so that we can send them information or have the ability to have an admissions counselor contact them at a later date.
And what was the name the person wrote down on that day?
The name was Aaron Ray Ybarra.
And does it indicate the date which the student dropped in? Or the
Yes,
person?
it indicates 5/19.
And I know it's been a long time, Mr. Betts. Do you actually recognize that person in the courtroom, or do you have any idea?
I do recognize him.
And who can you point out where he is in the courtroom?
Yeah, sitting next to the defense attorney.
Okay, to my left.
Yes.
You noted some of the things he asked about, and I think you had said those were pretty normal routine, is that right?
Yes.
You mentioned the tour, and that he didn't. Tell me about the tours. Are there actual guided tours, or it's a self-tour? Tell me about that.
Yes. So we have we had two different options for tours on that day. We had an 11 a.m. tour that he had missed, and then a 2 o'clock tour. And I had indicated that he would be able to stay for that tour on that day if he chose to, but he elected not to. And so we provide students who either drop in at an off-tour time or don't want to be a part of the regular scheduled tour, a self-guided tour map, so that they can learn more about the university, walk around. Since we're an open campus, we allow people to walk around the campus and get to know where we're at and see what's the buildings we have are and what we have to offer.
And is that normal, that somebody didn't want to go or wait for a guided tour but go on a self-tour? Does that happen other times?
Yes, it happens quite often, actually.
He talks about a campus map.
Mhm.
General protocol. So this will be State's Exhibit 2. And State's Exhibit 3 is marked.
So I'm going to show you a poster board that's been marked for identification as State's Exhibit 2. Do you recognize what that's a map of?
Yes, I do.
What's that a map of?
That is a map of the university.
And it fairly and accurately depicts the buildings and streets the university is on?
Yes, it does.
And is this actually the official SPU campus map?
Yes, it is.
And Your Honor, the state moves to admit 2? No objection.
It's admitted.
And with the court's permission, I'm going to ask Mr. Betts to step down and kind of show the jury the campus map.
Yes.
Mr. Betts, why don't you step down here and take a look at State's Exhibit 2.
Mr. Betts, I'm going to have you switch positions with Ms. Berliner so that
Okay.
you are facing the court reporter as well as the jury.
Okay.
This map has numbered buildings on it, is that
Mhm.
correct?
Yes, it does.
And, oh, okay. And make sure you sort of stand off to the side here so that all of the jurors can see you. So just make sure you're not cutting it out. I'm actually going to hand you while you're up here State's Exhibit number 3. Can you tell the jury what that is?
So this is just an example of a map that we would provide students who would come to our campus with, any visitors. This is just an example of what it would show. So there's numbers on it, and then on the side we have everything labeled so they would know where things are at on campus.
That is in fact a copy of the
Yes.
campus map.
Yes.
And Your Honor, the state moves to admit State's Exhibit 3. No objection.
It's admitted.
So is this the kind of map that you gave to the defendant when he came in for a drop-in on May 19th?
Yes, it was.
Can you just show the jury then, and they will have this with the itemization, but where you were, what building you were in?
Yeah, so I was located in building number 8, which is called Demeray Hall.
And this all depicts campus, and it crosses over some city streets, is that
Mhm.
right?
Yes, it does.
Do you happen to know which one is Otto Miller Hall?
I do.
Which one is it?
That would be building number 18.
Okay, can you point to that on the map?
Yes,
And for the record, you may have already said, what building number is Demeray Hall?
you can. Building number 8, located right here.
Okay, great. You can have a seat now. Thank you, sir. Do you recall whether you provided the defendant, or Mr. Ybarra, with anything else other than a campus map?
I also provided him with a packet that had some more general information for him that included an ETC magazine that was also standard protocol for us to include for them, which just has some more stats and some student testimonies about the university.
Essentially, this would be State's Exhibit 4.
Mr. Betts, I'm going to hand you what's been marked up for identification of State's
Yeah.
Exhibit 4. Does that look like the kind of informational packet you gave to the defendant on May 19th?
Yes, it does.
Do you recall anything else about your interaction with the defendant back on May 19th?
Not that I can recall.
Anything that seemed odd or kind of make you concerned?
No, not at all.
Did you have a back and forth exchange with him as he's asking these questions and you're responding?
Yes, I did.
Did he appear to understand and answer your questions appropriately?
Yes, he seemed to respond just like any other person that had come into the office requesting information. Just normal conversation, and then sent him on his way after he answered all his questions, and he just wanted a tour, so I just sent him off with this packet and the map for walking around.
Do you recall at all anything he said about why he was interested in SVU or why he was there?
No, I do not recall that information.
Just one last thing, Mr. Beth. Sorry, just I clicked down made a good point. Can I see that packet for a second?
Yes, you can.
Just to give the jury an understanding at this time, I know it's only been marked for identification, but this is just a standard informational packet that has SPU on the outside. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Now I'm going to hand you, after they are marked,
Exhibits 5 and 6
I hand you what's been marked for identification as State's Exhibit 5 and 6. Can you take a look at those stills for me? Do you recognize what those are stills from?
Yes, I do.
And what are they?
They are stills from when Ybarra came and visited the campus and requested information from Demery Hall.
Okay, is that in your office or where you would
Yes.
be reflected that?
Yes.
And what are the date time stamps on those stills?
The date time stamp on here is 5/19/2014.
And what time?
1:06 p.m. and
And,
1:18 p.m.
And that's on State's Exhibit number 5?
State Exhibit number 5 is 5/19/2014 at 1:18 p.m. and State Exhibit 6 is 5/19/2014 at 1:06 p.m.
And the State moves to admit 5 and 6? No objection.
5 and 6 are admitted.
And does that comport with how long you might have had a conversation with Mr. Ybarra?
Yes.
Those stills are from him coming and going from your office, is that right?
Yes.
And you want permission to publish to the jury?
Granted.
And Mr. Betts, for the record, I'm now showing the jury State's Exhibit number 5. Is that the same still that you have in your hand?
Yes, it
showing
is.
the defendant going into your office on May 19th?
Mm-hmm.
And-
Yes.
Yes.
Sorry. And State's Exhibit number 6, is that the defendant leaving with that informational packet that day?
Yes, it is.
Thank you, Mr. Betts. I don't have any further questions.
Thank you. Cross-examination.
No, Your Honor.
Would you pass me those photographs?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Fitz, you are all done.
All right,
You may be
thank you.
excused. Thank you. Members of the jury, why don't you stand and stretch for one moment? The next witness.
And the state will call Adra Asari Konadu.
Thank you. Will you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
Please be seated here. Thank you. Excuse, thank you. Members of the jury, why don't
And where do you live?
Do you mean my permanent residence?
What city do you live in?
Beaverton, Oregon.
Beaverton, Oregon? And what do you do there?
Right now I am a student and I coach children in various sports.
Did you ever attend Seattle Pacific University?
I did.
For what years?
June through September 2012 through June 2016.
And did you graduate?
I did.
What did you major in?
Biology.
What is your plan for the future?
To attend medical school.
So in the meantime, you're working and taking other classes, is that right?
Yes, it does correct.
And is Beaverton your permanent home?
Yes, it is.
When you attended Seattle Pacific, because of your major in biology, did you spend a lot of time at Otto Miller Hall?
I did.
What is Otto Miller Hall for?
Otto Miller Hall is primarily for engineering students. It was manufactured to help them, but due to the small structure of SPU, it's resulted in some classes overlapping into other buildings.
Okay. So are some science classes taught there as well?
Yes.
And is that why you would have had reason to be there on any given day?
Yes. In particular, when it came to Otto Miller, I was there for a physics class.
I want to draw your attention to June 5th of 2014. Do you remember that? Or excuse me, May 19th of 2014. Do you remember that day?
Not very clearly.
Okay. Do you remember giving a tour to somebody that day? Or giving a tour to someone in approximately May of 2014?
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell us how that came to be? Where were you?
I just finished with my class around 3:30, my physics class, and I was exiting, trying to get back to my dorm so I could study for an exam. And I saw Mr. Ybarra, and he looked at me and I looked at him, and it just resulted in me asking if he needed some help around campus. And
Okay, let me stop you for a second. You said you were getting ready to take an exam in what?
I believe it was organic chemistry.
Organic chemistry? Sounds fun. When were finals scheduled?
Finals usually are scheduled, I believe, June 7th through the 11th.
Okay. So where was this approximately, if you can remember, in connection with finals?
This will have been like 3 weeks, maybe close to a month.
Is it possible to you that May 19th would have been the proper date?
That would sound correct, because I remember it was a quick turnaround.
So where were you in Auto Miller Hall when you first encountered this individual?
I was on the right side, close to the foyer.
Close to the foyer?
Yeah.
Mhm. And what were you doing there? You were getting ready to leave?
Yes, I just exited my class and was just walking out and trying to get back to my dorm.
States Exhibit 7 is marked.
I'm going to hand you what's been marked States Exhibit 7. It's a photograph. Can you take a look at it, get your bearings, and tell us if you recognize what it shows?
This looks like Auto Miller and the entrance, close to the entrance.
Okay. And is that the foyer area that you were talking about?
Yes.
Okay. And do you recognize the people in that photograph?
I do. The girl sitting down, I believe, is Tao.
Okay.
And the gentleman sitting next to me is in this room.
Is in this room today?
Mhm.
And where is he seated?
He's seated right in front of me.
Okay. Next to the defense attorney?
Yes.
Okay. And is there somebody standing next to him?
Myself.
Okay. So it looks as though, well, first of all, I'll offer State 7.
Objection.
Submitted.
Okay. So it appears that you're getting ready to walk out the door?
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Yes.
So describe, if you would, a little bit, could you step down maybe, and with reference to the photograph, tell us what we're looking at if you've never been to Auto Miller before.
And could I ask you to stand to the other side of the screen and face this way? Thank you.
Okay. So walking into Auto Miller, there's usually a seating area and some tables for students to study or relax during classes or in between. And these stairs lead up to the second floor, and that's the engineering department. And this is just, again, like kind of more of a social area for students to be.
Okay, and where's the front door?
The front door is right here.
Okay, and you're indicating right in front of the two people.
Yes.
And where, in relation to where you're shown here, did you meet up with this person?
I met up with him over here.
Okay, is that a hallway?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead and return to your seat. Thank you. Okay, how was it that you came to have contact with him?
Primarily it was because I myself initiated the first contact.
Why?
He just looked lost, and due to my kind nature and how I was raised, I was taught to help out people in need, so.
Okay, so did you make eye contact with him?
I did.
Okay, and what happened then?
After that, I initiated conversations saying, do you need help? How can I help you? He in turn said, I'm a prospective student and I would like a tour of the campus, so I said sure.
Okay, you agreed to give him a tour?
Yes, I did.
Why would you agree to do that when you're on your way to go study for organic chemistry?
Again, just due to my nature of that, I myself haven't put in a position like that before, of where I'm new in an environment and I just want to help people. And having experienced people not helping me, I like to help other people.
Okay. So what did you decide, where were you going to take him?
I don't remember.
Did you have a plan when you left Otto Miller?
I do not remember.
Okay. So you left Otto Miller, and what did you do?
I left Otto Miller and we walked straight ahead towards the sub, and I believe the first place I took him was where I more than likely would be found because I was a science major, which is Eaton Hall.
Okay, and the sub is what? What does that stand for?
The Student Union Building.
Okay. And is that sort of the main gathering place for everybody, restaurants and that sort of thing?
Yes.
Okay. So you showed him the science building that you were familiar with?
Mm-hmm.
Was he talking with you during this time?
Yes, he was.
And what was he talking about?
I asked him questions about his life, what had brought him to SBU.
What did he say?
From my recollection, he said along the lines of that he was going to Everett Community College, that he wanted to attend a bigger university, but not as big as UW, but a small university.
So when you're talking to him about this, did you have any trouble making conversation with him?
No, but that is, in my mind, I'm a talkative person, so usually people don't supplement conversation towards me. I will start to initiate and make more conversation.
Okay.
So put in the time.
Let me ask you this. When you were talking to him, did you have any trouble understanding what he was saying?
No.
Did he appear to be understanding what you were saying to him?
Yes.
Was there anything about the way that he was acting that struck you as unusual?
No more unusual than you would find in an average person.
Okay. How did he strike you in terms of like maturity or age or that sort of thing?
He struck me more as a high school personality in the sense that in high school everyone's looking for acceptance and they want to be accepted in any social gathering or any social group. So it felt like he was trying to fit in, that he was just very unconfident, and presumably I would say he probably had a low self-esteem and carried himself with less assurance than would be found in maybe a college setting.
And what is it that makes you say that? That's a lot to sort of say about somebody. What makes you say that?
Again, I was looking at his posture, how his speech, how he's coming off. His posture is something that I've seen before because I went to high school before I went to college. So his posture was concave. He wasn't standing with any sort of assurance or confidence in himself. He shuffled. The way he spoke, he didn't make a lot of eye contact. The way he dressed also wasn't of someone who I'd say is confident, baggy clothes, nothing that would scream that I am confident in myself.
So, do you remember where else you went other than to show him the science building?
I remember that we took a horseshoe walk around the campus, so as in walking past Eaton towards Marston, up around up around towards Hill, back down towards Hill, and close to my dorm, which is the closest one on campus, Moyer.
Okay, so you're naming buildings, Hill and Marston and that. Is that right?
Yeah.
State's Exhibit 8 and 9.
Okay, I'm going to hand you State's Exhibit 8, which is another photograph. Could you take a look at that? Is that you and Mr. Ybarra walking on the campus?
Yes.
And do you recognize what area that is? Can you tell?
I can.
Okay, what is that?
This would be walking by the Student Union building would be over here, and Tiffany Loop is right in front of us.
Okay. And I'm going to hand you State's Exhibit 9 and ask you the same question. Do you recognize where that is?
Yes, I do.
Where is that?
That would be, so Tiffany Loop is...
No, can't show it yet.
Okay.
Hang on.
Sorry.
That's okay.
So Tiffany Loop would be right in front of me, and the Student Union building would be behind me.
Okay. Did you cover the entire campus?
No.
Okay. How long would you say that this walk took?
30 to 45 minutes.
Okay. Offer 8 and 9.
No objection.
8 and 9 are admitted.
Okay, Tiffany Loop, is that just an area of campus that's describing like a convergence of sidewalks or something like that?
No, Tiffany Loop is a brick horseshoe that loops around. Because when you step down from the sidewalks, it's a little loop.
Okay. Now you said you were, I'm sorry, you said how long did it take? 35 minutes?
30 to 45 minutes.
30 to 45 minutes. All this time, are you talking back and forth with him?
Yes.
Okay. Anything, any red flags, anything like that, or did he seem like a normal enough person to you?
Seemed normal enough. I would say that there weren't any red flags that I can remember from.
Okay. At any time, did anybody join you, or was it just the two of you the whole time?
No, just the two of us the whole entire time.
At the end of 45 minutes or however long it was, what did you do?
At the end of it, I remember concluding it in front of the music building, and because the music building is very close to my dorm, and then sending them off to the Student Union building, because that's primarily where you ask people for tours, or at least that was my impression, is where you ask people for tours or just questions about the campus. So I sent them towards the Student Union building, and then I departed to my dorm.
Okay. You went to study for your test?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you ever see him again before today? Or
No.
see his face?
I did see his face over the news.
Okay. Tell us what happened. Had you talked to the police before that?
I did.
Okay. And when you talked to them, was it about the fact that you had had contact with them, or how did that happen? How did you come to talk to the police?
So I came to talk to the police because my roommate had prompted me to talk to our security on campus because they were looking for anyone who had any idea who he was or if he had been on campus beforehand, and they put me in contact with the King County police.
Okay. How did you know that he was the one that they were interested in?
When I was at Bubble Tea with my friends late at night, just trying to relax from the events that had happened before, we were at Wow Bubble Tea, and a TV screen is always presented there showing the news or various other clips or TV shows. And the news was playing and it showed his face And I remember seeing it and thinking, oh, I had been in contact with this individual.
And just to back up, did you say wow, O-P?
Yes.
Okay, just making sure. So at that point then you contacted the police and you gave them information about the tour that you had given?
Yes.
Is that right? Yep. I get it, just a moment.
Yes.
I have no further questions, thank you.
How's examination?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you, you're all done. Excuse. The next witness.
Okay. State calls Kylie Woodley.
If you'd like to stand as best for a minute, you can. Please sit. You raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
Please be seated here.
Could you tell us your name, please, and spell your first and last name?
Kylene Woodkey, Kylene Kylleen, Woodkey Woodke.
And where do you live?
In Puyallup, Washington,
And how long have you lived in this area?
in Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
I went to SPU for 4 years, and I've lived in Puyallup my whole life, so 22 years.
And did you graduate from SPU?
Yes,
When did you graduate?
2016 in June.
And what did you major in?
Elementary education.
So what's your plan at this point?
I'm a teacher right now.
Oh, you got a job?
Mhm.
Good for you. Okay. When you were going to SPU, do you remember sometime in May of 2014 coming into contact with someone who's in the courtroom today?
Yes,
And do you recognize that person today?
Yes.
Where is he seated?
right there in the plaid at the table.
And how was it that you came into contact with him?
At the student union building, I believe he asked me to show him. He asked me to show him a building or asked to see something, and then we talked and walked around.
Okay. Now, where were you in this? Were you in the student union building, coming out, going in?
I believe I was going out, so it was either right at the doors or right outside the doors.
Okay. And how was it that you came to have contact with him? How did you join up?
I believe he just asked me, I can't remember exactly, but to show him a building or ask where something was. And then we just started talking, and I showed him around Seattle Pacific University.
Okay. Had you done that before with other students?
Not for that long, no, just showing people where to go.
Okay.
Mhm.
How long were you on this tour with him?
I would say about in between 20 to 40 minutes.
Okay. And did he indicate to you why he wanted to take a tour?
He didn't tell me. He said, I believe he said that he was thinking of transferring to SPU, so I showed him around. I used to be a tour guide at SPU, so I knew where to show him.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as a tour guide, that's with prospective students?
Mm-hmm,
All right.
Yes.
Yes. And so how do you decide what to show them? Is it the highlights of the campus or the main buildings?
It's a small campus, so I showed him the main buildings, I would say. I believe I showed him my school, the education school, and we walked into the business school, McKenna, because I believe he said he was thinking about being a business major. and I'd never been in there before, so I was also curious of what it looked like. So we walked in, looked around for probably no more than 10 seconds, and walked out.
Okay.
Yeah.
How was his demeanor?
He seemed very happy and a little excited to be there, but very normal and very nice, and very thankful that I showed him around.
Was he polite?
Yes.
And, just a second. Your Honor, I don't have the hard copy of the photo that I'd like to show. With the team, may I have her step down and look at our small screen to identify it?
Yes, can you identify it? Ms. Brandis knows which one it is. I see you're shaking your head, yes. Yes, you may. If you would.
Would you step down, please? Sorry.
And what will be the next sequential number for this?
All right.
So this will be Exhibit 10, once the hard copy is found.
Thank you. Okay. And I'm going to offer exhibits in virtual reality.
Any objections?
Series of pictures.
Any objection to 10?
No, Your Honor. My understanding is this is going to be, Exhibit 10 will be a series.
Correct.
Okay.
Will be a
That's
what?
correct. Series of pictures.
Series of photos.
I will package them together
All right,
so the clerk doesn't go crazy.
all right. Understanding council know what the pictures are, and we're
Okay.
about to see them all.
All
I'll
right.
admit the pictures.
Okay. What kind of day was it that day, weather-wise? Was it a good day for a tour?
Yeah. It wasn't raining. Maybe some clouds.
Okay. What area are we looking at there? Can you see it?
Yeah, that looks like it's around Gwynn Commons. Oh yeah, I can see it. Up on the right, there's a subway, and then to the left, you can't see it. That's where we eat. It's called Gwynn Commons.
Okay. And is that you and Mr. Ybarra?
Yes.
Not there.
That's by Moyer Hall. It's in the middle of campus, and that is us.
Okay, and what is Moyer Hall for?
It's a dorm.
Okay.
Mhm.
So were you showing him dorms as well as classroom buildings?
I think I was just pointing them out. I know I told him about the dorm that I was going to be an RA at the next year. It's called Emerson, and I think I just pointed at it.
Okay.
But yeah,
Was he asking you any questions about living arrangements on campus?
I don't remember.
Okay. How about there?
That is, I believe, oh, that's Martin Square. It's very close to the subway in the previous picture.
Okay. Is that like a main gathering area, Martin
Mhm,
Square?
mhm, yeah.
Okay. How about here?
That looks like, oh, that's right outside of Moyer. So it's right next to Tiffany Loop, which what I would say is the main gathering place at SPU.
Okay.
Outside, yeah.
Okay. How did he seem age-wise compared to most SPU students?
A little older.
In your experience, what's about the approximate age range of the typical student there?
I would say freshmen are about 17, and then to seniors about 22.
Did this stand out in your mind?
Yes, but I also knew that there were other people that went there that were older, so it didn't seem like odd. It seemed normal.
How about the the tour itself? Was it memorable in any way to you?
The most memorable thing I would say was at the end. He was very nice. He offered to buy me coffee. He just seemed very grateful that I showed him around, but everything else seemed like I was just showing him around. And,
Okay.
yeah.
Did you take him up on that?
No.
Did he push it at all? Or what happened when you said you couldn't do it?
I just said no, and then I think he was like, "Are you sure? Like, I'm very happy to get that for you." And I said no, and maybe he said one more time, like, "Are you sure?" And that was it.
And you said, I think, that you found him to be excited. Can you talk about that a little bit? What do you mean?
I just remember walking, he seemed very happy to be there, and I'm a naturally very happy person, so I thought that we got along well, and so he was just very polite and would say thank you, and then when we were walking around, he just seemed like the way we were walking was kind of, I'm excited to be here, not like I don't want to be here, so
Okay.
yeah.
How is it that you came to find out that Mr. Ybarra was the one that you had contact with?
I was on a trip in Hawaii with my mom, and a lady, I believe at SPU, called me and said, "Do you remember showing a young man around campus?" And then it clicked in my head who it was. I had seen his pictures after the shooting, but it didn't click in my head who it was until she called me and told me. And that was in June.
Okay. And at that point then, did you have contact with the police?
Yes.
And did he look different or the same as when you had contact with him?
He looked the same, except for I noticed his glasses weren't on when I would see the news. So that's something I noticed, because I remember he had glasses when we were walking around.
Okay. We're going to have just a moment. Did he say anything to you about seeing you again, or when he might come back to campus?
I don't remember. I don't think so.
Okay. Do you remember telling the police that he had said, "I'd be happy to see you again," or something, when I'm here?
I don't. Oh, when he transfers?
Yes. Sorry.
Yes, I do remember that. Yeah.
Okay. Could you tell us about that?
I think it was just exactly that. Like, if I come here, I hope to see you.
Okay. That was him saying that?
Mhm.
Okay. Thank you. I don't have anything else.
Cross-examination?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. You're excused.
Thank you.
Your Honor, we have sidebar. Brief.
Yes, you may stand and stretch if you wish. All right, we are moving apace. And for that reason, we're going to take our recess early. I will ask you to be back in the jury room at 20 minutes after 1, and we will continue with the state's witnesses, getting a longer lunch hour than usual. As the trial begins and the parties get to feel the rhythm of it, they'll adjust the witness schedules, and so we'll be using all the time, but I think we're moving more quickly than I anticipated. So if you would please leave your notebooks in the chairs. Again, don't discuss this case, don't read, watch, listen to anything like this. I'll ask you first go back to the jury room, and then you'll be excused from there. Thank you. Please rise for the jury.